Welcome back to Here with Goldberg. Today we're going to be talking about becoming an expat, digital nomad, teaching abroad. Is this a good path to take? It might seem a little bit outdated in the age of coronavirus, but of course people are still going over there. It just takes a little bit more effort than before. And in the aftermath of the 2008 financial collapse, a lot of people thought if they had a 4-year degree, not much in the way of marketable skills, well, just run a website remotely, drop ship, or teach English, and that's going to solve all your problems. I'm not trying to cast shade on it. It can work for some people, but you have to be afraid of, or rather you have to avoid romanticizing things too much, because there's a lot of folks out there trying to essentially sell you a cart of goods. I've read pretty much every major financial self-help book there is, except for Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. I just read the summary of that, and it was this stuff like, you gotta believe, you gotta be a magnet for wealth, you gotta be certain it's gonna happen. No, I'm not trying to offend anyone, but that does not really get you over the finish line as far as being an entrepreneur. And another good example of that as far as the digital nomad thing is concerned would be this book, The Laptop Millionaire, where, it's kind of like very much in line with the Robert Kiyosaki fanboys, and you'll talk to them, they go, the rich pursue networks, everyone else pursues jobs. You got to be like the rich. You got to get assets. Like, well, what's wrong with the pancake style? No, it's got to be a pear or an onion. And whenever you ask, they're always very cagey because they've learned the same talking points. So you'll say to them, okay, so what do the rich do? Well, you got to know the right people. How do you get the tax breaks? Yeah, you need to know how to talk to the right people. Where can I get more information? Well, there's a $597 course. Teach you all about being and thinking like the rich and minimalism. Okay, non-refundable, of course. And this book is very similar to, I don't know if it came out before or after the 4-Hour Work Week, but it's that kind of thing. Work on your laptop, outsource things over to other people, do internet marketing, sell an ebook, which, nothing wrong with that. But of course, this review, I think, really summarizes a lot of people's frustration with the financial self-help and entrepreneur type books. If you don't have an ebook already written on a huge mailing list, how will you get one? But wait, before you get those 2 items and your mode is revenue, you need a website. Oh crap, now what? I recommend it if you have everything you need, but if you don't, it's a waste of money. I have ebooks and websites, just no list. Yeah, the process of actually building up the following takes a lot longer than most people are willing to realize, unless you're paying for other people to do it for you. So it doesn't mean that you should, it's a waste of time, but a little bit of a realism is important there. If you're going to do the digital nomad thing, have a business already intact. Do not go overseas to a country where you don't speak the language thinking, oh yeah, I'm just going to start a business. That might be a good, learning experience, but it could also lead you to just become financially destitute very quickly. Other countries have legal systems you have to deal with. They might have visa conditions, whatever. There's information you have to investigate. The YouTube channel Nomad Capitalist is a good one. There's also a couple of blogs with attorneys, like how to pursue the proper status in a particular country. So that's stuff to investigate before you go. And don't think that, oh yeah, if I have a blog, that's going to support me. This was something a couple of years back. I may have a travel blog. Like the movie, I think it was called Eat, Pray, Cuck. Making a little bit of ad revenue on a blog or having a YouTube channel and getting a couple $100 a month in ads is not a business. That's not going to support you as you travel the world. So you need something more concrete. You need to have an actual probably import-export business, or maybe you build websites remotely online. Have a real skill before you go over there. Maybe, hell, you go to another country and that's not really, being a digital nomad, but let's say you have a trade skill you could work overseas. Don't go overseas with, well, I'm going to be a millionaire. That's great, but you need to actually know where you're going. Then we get into the concept of teaching English as a foreign language. This was another thing when people couldn't find jobs after '08, they had their 4-year degree in English literature or sociology, English 101, and they said, okay, I'm going to teach English. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. The way you go about it is more complicated. My recommendation is get the CELTA. It's either a 4-week course full-time, you can do it online hybrid over I think 6 months, but it does have an actual teaching component requirement. This is typically, if you want to get the good jobs in Asia, especially like the Korean or Japanese public school systems, they're going to want something like this. They used to take just the basic TEFL, but they realized they were getting a lot of subpar people. You can, if you want good information, look at the YouTube channel Red Dragon Diaries. He explains this. But even more than that, my advice would be, that's the regular TEFL. But even more than that, my advice would be get the Master of Teaching before you come. Because, yeah, okay, you get your 4-year degree, you stay on 1 year, it's a little bit more time. Once you have the teaching license, you can get decent jobs overseas. I mean, I saw something in Mexico, it was like they paid you $3,000 a month, but all your housing was covered. So that's not terrible. You've seen stuff like that in the Middle East. Decent paid jobs for teachers, and also in Asia. But if you come over there just with some basic teaching English as a foreign language certificate and you go work for one of those private academies, I mean, there's a lot of horror stories about how you get treated, because realistically, people from China, Korea, India, they're going to the UK or sometimes Australia, they're going to the United States or Canada to get education and get jobs. And so if you're going over to their country and you don't have a real marketable skill, you're not part of the elite, you're not working in high finance or something like that, they're going to assume you're a loser back home. Okay, you basically went to the one thing you've got that, you happen to speak this language. So not hating on anyone, I'm just saying, go there and plan to scale up, maybe start your own school or create like teaching products online. That's what I would do. I would not rely on you got your little TEFL certificate, because you're going to be pretty much restricted to a certain socioeconomic level in society, providing that you just stay as that teacher. And they're going to realize that. So yeah, you might have a little bit of fun a couple of years, play up the whole I'm exotic factor, but you're certainly not going to be living high on the hog, especially as time goes on. So that's just my recommendation. Go abroad only if you have a plan. Like I said, check out those blogs, check out the Nomad Capitalist. Make sure you have a sense of your tax status, whether you have to pay in the United States and overseas, depending where you're domiciled. And go there with a skill and an idea, not just, oh, I'm going to be a digital nomad, I'm going to be an expat, because that'll last about as long as your savings. When they run out, you're going to have an issue.